Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Evening Politics, Episode 1. And today we are going to address the current situation in Indonesia. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. I am not Indonesian, and while I've researched this topic carefully, there may still be gaps in my knowledge. So if I get something wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. Also, my pronunciation of certain Indonesian names and places might not be perfect, so I kindly ask you to bear with me. My goal here is to explain the situation as clearly as possible, not to misrepresent it. So, we all know right now Indonesia is facing its biggest wave of protests in years. Streets are filled with thousands of people demanding change, clashes with police are spreading across cities, and the government is under massive pressure. But what exactly happened? Why are Indonesians so angry, and why is this moment so important for the country's future? Let's break it down step by step. So it all started with something that on the surface might look small, but members of Indonesia's parliament approved a generous housing allowance for themselves worth about 50 million rupiah per month. That's around 3,000 US dollars. For ordinary Indonesians who are struggling with rising prices, taxes, and job insecurity, this was seen as a slap in the face. Many felt it was a symbol of how disconnected the political elite is from the people. And this inequality becomes even clearer when you look at everyday stories. For example, I came across blogs and TikTok comments where people share how much they actually earn. So one teacher, she said that she makes the equivalent of just 20 US dollars a month. Think about that. A teacher, someone shaping the next generation, doesn't even earn the minimum wage. At the same time, I've seen clips of families struggling to put food on the table for even a single day, while politicians enjoy triple or even far more of what ordinary workers make, just in allowances and perks. This contrast between the lives of the people and privileges of the elite made the housing allowance a powerful symbol of unfairness. The protest truly exploded after a tragic event. A 20-year-old delivery driver named Afan Kurniawan was struck and killed by a police armored vehicle during a demonstration. And here's the heartbreaking part. The police are supposed to be an executive body of society. Their duty is to protect civilians. They are the people we are told to go when we need safety. But in this case, they didn't protect. They took the life of a young man. Governments should be creating safe spaces for their citizens, supporting them, listening to them. But in Indonesia right now, that's not happening. When I saw the clip of what happened to Afan, my heart sunk. How cruel can those meant to protect us actually be? Sadly, this isn't just an Indonesian issue. Police killing and abuse of power are becoming disturbingly common, whether in Indonesia, in India, or even in countries we call superpowers like the United States. And it leaves us with a very troubling question. If we have a problem, we are told to go to the police. But what happens when the problem is the police themselves? Soon the demonstrations spread far beyond Jakarta, in Makassar, Bandung, and other cities. Government buildings were attacked and even set on fire. Security forces responded with tear gas, water cannons, and armored vehicles. Several people have died and many more have been injured. The unrest shook the financial markets too. Indonesia's stock exchange dropped sharply, showing how deep the crisis has become. And now let's talk about the government's response. Well, faced with public outrage, President Prabowo Subianto made some concessions. He cancelled the housing allowance, suspended lawmakers' foreign trips, and promised an investigation into the police response. But at the same time, he issued warnings. He accused part of the movement of bordering on treason and made it clear that he would not allow what he sees as a chaos to continue. And this is where things get even more complicated. Because Prabowo is not just any politician, he's a former military general with a controversial past, and under his leadership, the military is quietly gaining more influence over civilians' life. This brings back memories of Indonesia's authoritarian history under Suharto, when the army had a dual function, which basically means that they controlled both defense and politics. So, why are Indonesians so furious? The housing allowance was just the spark, but the fire runs much deeper. Every day, people are struggling with inflation, rising living costs. I've seen teachers online saying they earn as little as $20 a month. Imagine that, shaping the next generation but not even making the minimum wage. Meanwhile, politicians and elites enjoy salaries and benefits that are multiple times higher. The gap between the poor and the wealthy is enormous, and it's painfully visible. Wealth and opportunities are concentrated in the hands of few, while millions work in insecure, low-paid jobs, sometimes barely able to afford food for a single day. Corruption adds salt to the wound. Leaders enrich themselves, while ordinary families are left behind. So this anger isn't just about one allowance. It's about justice, inequality, and the direction of the country itself. People are asking, how much longer should the majority suffer while a small elite prospers? And so Indonesia now finds itself at a crossroad. The protests are still spreading. The government has taken steps to calm the anger, but many people believe it's too little or too late. The big question is, will this crisis push the country toward reform and accountability, or will it make or mark the beginning of a more authoritarian era with the military tightening its grip? Either way, what happens in Indonesia over the coming weeks will not just shape the country's politics, but also the future of democracy in Southeast Asia. So that's what's happening in Indonesia right now. But I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about this situation? Do you have tips for me on how I can improve my videos? And most importantly, how are you doing today? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow with another topic.